Hey guys, Joe Pye here at Advanced Innovations. Welcome back to my shop. You know, as I stand in front of this machine that weighs several thousand pounds and has 99 different types of adjustments on it to true it up, I feel fairly fortunate because there's a lot of people out there that don't have big dollar vices, big dollar machines, and may struggle with what they're building. Well, I want to do a demonstration right now, and this is directly related to the last video I posted. The last video I posted on squaring material. It was the best mill tip you'll ever get, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, got a few challenges on that, and what I am going to do today, I'm going to take this vise and I am going to cock this vise so that it is no longer true to the table. Okay, we're going to cock the vise. I am going to put a piece of wire behind the rear jaw so that the rear jaw kicks in one direction or the other, and I'm going to put two parallels in here with a 6-inch scale under one of the parallels. And using that particular setup, I'm going to cut 5 sides of a block to a finished net shape, square to the world, square to each other, and then I'm going to flip the part using the exact same parallels, maybe not the scale, but the exact same parallels with the vise skewed, with the back jaw thrown, and I'm going to deck that part, and then we're going to go and check it. And I think you're going to be amazed that you can make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, so to speak, when it comes to machining with a less than perfect setup. Let's take a look. Before we kick off the demonstration, let's just show exactly how bad this setup is. This is the only time that I want to be excited about how bad my setup is. I have a 6-inch scale trapped behind the top jaw right now, or excuse me, at the top of the stationary jaw. So I'm going to bring this indicator in. And let's see, if we go all the way around, we max out at 10. So I'm going to bring it around till 15. Okay? Sooner or later it will touch. There we go. That indicator is fairly well stroked. Now with the top of this particular jaw being forward, leaning this way, that indicator should back off, showing how bad the tilt is on that back jaw, which is exactly what it's doing. You see it coming around? Now under normal circumstances, if you were to check a vise jaw like this and your indicator were to dance around like this, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be that the head's out of square, so you go and you trim the head. Alright, so that back jaw is about 30 thou out of square. Over an inch and 3/4, 30 thousandths, 17, that's all about just under 2 degrees out of square, out of vertical. Let's move the jaw down to the end. Well, I don't think I even have to do the entire jaw. You can see right there how bad it is. I want to try to keep the indicator and the jaw in frame at the same time. So I know the vise has been rotated severely in a counterclockwise direction, this way. So the indicator is going to drop off as the needle moves away from the jaw. Alright, 30 thousandths of an inch in the first 2 inches. The error is almost identical from the bottom to the top as it is left to rear right now. But as we continue to move, you can see it's just not even close. It's not even touching. Okay, let's get a shot of the back of the jaw. You can see the 6-inch scale is trapped right there. It is kicked violently forward. Seriously off center. Now let's throw a piece in there. Put the same type of scale under the parallels. Take a 5-sided cut, make a perfect part, flip it, and finish it. Here we go. The part is secure in the vise. We have two very tall parallels in here. They do not move. There is a 6-inch scale under this parallel. There is nothing under this parallel. So this part is sitting in there, cocked this way, rotated this way, in a vise jaw that's cocked this way. So this is about as ugly as it gets. Now when you use the axes of your machine to square the part and not worry about the vise squaring the part, it will be the y-axis travel that's going to square this face right here. If this part were to be extended out beyond the jaw and you cut it, it will not be true to the back surface done in a conventional method. But we are not going to worry about the position of the block in the machine. We are just going to worry about cleaning it up. Just imagine now we're going to go for a net shape finish on this part, which means we're going to take it to size. And as this thing starts to clean up, you are going to see the error based on how it cleans up while it's cutting. So pay attention to what happens to these surfaces, especially the front and rear. Okay, with the back being high, it's leaning this way, which means the top of this face is going to cut before the bottom, and in the back it is going to cut on the back side top before it cuts the front. I think I'll blue that up just to prove it. I'm going to cut the top of the block first, making y-axis stroke on it, and you'll see the high spot in the back. Not a problem. No big shock. Let's do it. And the answer to many of your questions is yes, I could have used a single cutter to do the top. Fly cutter would be the way to go for cosmetic purposes, but for sake of this demonstration, I'm using one cutter only. So what we have right now is a block that's severely out of square now. I have now taken this top surface and made it out of square to the bottom surface intentionally. So let's run around the perimeter and take a look at the error. I will do the front surface first to demonstrate that the block is sitting in there at an angle. But the top of this piece is true to the world now. It's true to the table. Not true to the vise, true to the table. Okay, the witness mark in the back from the bluing will indicate that the part is rotated this way and this way. So that's the low corner right there. We're going to make it go away, and now that face is true to the top, as true as the tram is on the machine. And I will continue around all four sides. There is no sense in demonstrating the error on all four corners. But we will make a nice true square block with an atrocious setup. Let's do it. Let's get a closer look at the error demonstrated by the remnant that's left over. And we'll deburr it, put it back in, make it parallel. Okay, I hope that you can see the remnant web in the bottom, right there where the scale is. It gets progressively larger towards the front. That would be the correction of the y-axis shift versus how the vise was sitting on the table. Okay, so the part material was not square in the vise, and that is the result. If you see that, that's a pretty good indication that maybe you want to check the tram on that vise just in case the second shift guide knocked it out of square. All right, what we have right here now is a true top that's true and square to all four corners, true to the world. I'm going to clean up the burrs on this piece, set it back in the vise without the scale under the parallel, and we're going to deck the top off, removing this web down here. I am not going to go secondary on this because, like I said before, we're going to assume that you finished the outside shape when you did this in your vise. Okay, deburr it, finish it. The setup is exactly the same. The vise is still extremely tilted. The back jaw still has the shim in it. The only difference is the shim has been removed from under the parallel. Still using a very tall parallel. Still using a 7/16 cutter. 5 sides complete. We're going to sit it back down on the parallel, and regardless of the shape of this vise, this part is going to be pretty straight when it comes out of there. You wouldn't think so, but it's going to be. Let's do it. Using a soft-faced dead blow mallet is a really good idea. The shock from the mallet does not go through the part onto the parallel and ricochet and bring the entire assembly back up. If you've ever beat on a piece with a hard-faced mallet, you'll know the frustration of no matter how hard you beat it, it just doesn't seat against the parallels. Any hammer that has that shake to it has media inside that when you hit, the media translates down and absorbs the shock. Dead blow. Many different brands. If you don't have one, get one. Another one of my favorite sayings is, if the chip exceeds the grip, you can bet the part will slip. We have a very shallow grip on this. That is so that none of the error in the jaws influences the part. All right? Very shallow grip. If the part is tilted, out of square, or whatever, and you have a lot of bite, the part may try to influence to the surface it's registering against, and one of the two parallels is never going to lock down. Nice tall grip is the way to go. All right, I'm going to take, I don't know, maybe 70, 80 thou on this, and I'm going to walk through it fairly quick. So let's get rid of this rib right here. That's about 1/8 of an inch, give or take, and we'll go and check it in inspection. All right. For the majority of the roughing operation, you saw me run a circular path. And then for the finishing, I went all in the same direction. And that was just in case there's any slop in your machine and you're going to be pushing this end mill back and forth. You run an indicator across the top of it, or the surface finish may show the load just tearing it up. So when you go back and forth like this, the cutter is loaded constantly. And if there is any error at all, it's just going to be a small bumpy error only in one direction. Let's deburr it, put it on a surface plate, and take a look. All right, now this is a question I would ask, and I figured I'd present it before somebody asked it. You can see the line right there in the part. That is incredibly superficial and basically a burnished area, and that would be the line from the aggressive tilt of the back jaw. If you pull your piece out, that's perfect right there. If you pull your piece out of your vise and you start getting lines like this, well, either the top of the one of the two jaws or both is mashed over and embedding in your part, or the jaw is grossly out of square. Okay, there it is, perfectly clear. Front should not have it. Front does have witness mark, but you can see it is a pressure mark because the movable jaw was a whole lot more trustworthy in that particular setup. All right, let's pull back here and run an indicator across that. See what we got. First thing I'm going to do is check parallel, then I'll check square. I'm going to do a little Hollywood trick for you here. I'm going to set that to 0. It's not even touching the part, but you can't tell, right? It's camera angle. So look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. Okay, well that's all Hollywood, so it's not even touching. Here we go. Let's run it down until it does touch. Let's take a look. I always give it the bump test to make sure it's flat as well as square or parallel. Let's see what we can prove here. In an effort to be 100% transparent, honest, and show you what I saw and what I discovered, with my back jaw being so aggressively tilted forward, when I laid that parallel against the back jaw, it created a high spot on my parallel that threw my part out of parallel by 0.02 of an inch. I took and replicated this jaw setup in the inspection room with the scale behind the parallel, indicated the top of the parallel, and found that since the parallel was skewed, the backside was higher, therefore the block was kicked. Yes, it was. I just dusted the top off using this setup right here. Neither parallel is touching either jaw. Both parallels are stable. Let's get back in there and do an honest inspection. Same setup, by the way. Still kicked. Still kicked. Only the bottom edge of the vise right here should determine whether or not that part's parallel. Just in case that last remark on the parallel confused anybody, let's imagine this is the parallel, with the parallel leaning forward this way because of the angle of the vise jaw. Watch the back corner of the parallel as the parallel tips. That corner goes up. That influenced the part and showed up in the parallelism of the second side cut. Surprised even me. That takes a lot to surprise me, so let's see what happens here. If this is out, I might just put a for sale sign on that machine and go have a beer. Back to the old Hollywood trick. There you go, look at that. Needle's not even moving. Wow, that's really flat. That's better. That's about 7/10. I don't know if that's rocking or what that's doing. I'll give you 7/10 on that one. Let's check the other side. High spot on the end. And I wonder if that's where the pressure was. Yes, it is. I don't know if you can see the witness mark right there. Aluminum is not as hard as you may think. You squeeze it, you could distort it. That may be what we're witnessing. That's where it comes up right at the edge. Let's check square. Let's get a look at it for square. And I would say you can't argue with those results. You saw the setup. You see the numbers on the dial. If that was a critical part, I doubt I would have done it 100% that way. Chances are I would have used a fly cutter. I don't like a rippled surface for a precision surface. But you can't blame the machine. You can't blame the setup. If the part comes out terrible, chances are it was loaded. There was a mistake. I did get caught by that parallel being kicked by the back jaw. Did not expect that. So I had to put that in there just in case you got caught the same way and you're standing around scratching your head saying, why is it out of parallel? Well, goes to prove, crappy setup can produce a good part. You just saw it happen. Thanks for watching.